everybody. We're gonna get started in just a second. Let's see. Alright. So, last stream of 2020. I figured I'd do my last stream of the year the same way I did my first stream of the year, and that being the first stream ever, which is to play the 8-bit version of Sonic the Hedgehog. And I've got the Master System cartridge here, which I imported from the UK. And my favorite of all, here's my childhood Sonic the Hedgehog cartridge from when I was a little kid. My first Sonic game, my first proper video game ever. This is kind of interesting. You know, I'm just glad I'm able to actually stream using my childhood copy of the game. Now, if you haven't seen this before, there's my setup. I'm going to be playing this on the analog Mega SG, which plays the game. There are other cartridge-compatible clone systems, but a lot of those use emulators, whereas this one plays the game directly off of the cart. It doesn't pull the ROM off the cartridge and then play the ROM in an emulator. It plays it in real time off the cartridge, which is pretty cool. So let's get started. Power on the system. I expect I'm going to be playing first the Master System version, and then I'll start with the now I'm going to do a little bit of an intro. Now these are kind of exhibition runs in a sense, where I'm just sort of demonstrating the game. Now, one thing I want to show off, you notice I have this television frame here. Part of the picture is cropped off inside the frame of the TV. But a lot of that is because... Oh, excuse me, that's not what I meant to do. I meant to turn off... Here we go. Yeah, you'll notice how much of the frame is actually taken up by a loading scene, where parts of the graphics are loading in. And on a period tube TV, a lot of that would have been cropped out. But in seeing it in its pure form, you see a lot of this. Now, some games like Super Mario Bros. 3 or Kirby's Adventure let those sort of garbled graphics just appear on the edges of the screen, whereas this game, a lot of Master System games, just sort of covered up with one of the... I'm gonna restart the game. Yeah, this isn't a speedrun or anything. I'm just sort of showing the game off, because this isn't a game that gets a whole lot of coverage on Twitch or in general, especially not from North American gamers like me. Now, I did not play the Master System of this until the Wii Virtual Console, but the Game Gear version of this, which I'll be playing after this, will be on the game. Well, it'll be the Game Gear version, and it'll be played with the Game Gear frame instead of this television frame. Most games I don't play on with this television frame, but because of the extreme, like, sort of cropping, and that's present in most Master System games, I decided to go ahead and do that. It adds to the flavor, the sort of period flavor, and it makes the game look a little better, in my opinion. Now, I'm not a speedrunner or anything like that. I'm just playing the game casually. I will be going for what they call in the speedrunning community max special bonus. And all that means is that I'm getting the Chaos Emeralds, because at the end of the game, all of the... Oh, no! Okay, I'm actually going to restart there. Yeah, too busy explaining stuff to pay attention to what I was doing. I'm pretty good at getting through the game, but I do want to have every life possible, and that means getting as many special stages as possible. And I can't have the... And I lost all my rings there, which is not something that normally happens. This is only the second time I've played this. I really play this game off-stream. I did play it a couple of days ago, knowing I'd be playing this again. Oh, gosh. Yeah, I did... Alright. There we go. Let me get our extra life here. So we get both. So we want to end the stage. Now, the interesting thing here is that there are no... Yeah, this is... If you're not familiar with this version of Sonic the Hedgehog, this is not a straight-up port of the 16-bit Genesis game, which is the original game. They outsourced this to a company called Ancient, which was Uzo Koshiro's company, the composer, famous for many works, including, the Streets of Rage series, who also did 8-bit arrangements of the music from the 16-bit version for this 8-bit edition. Now, this 8-bit edition was made with the Master System in mind, and they decided, I guess they didn't feel comfortable playing, well, just doing the loop-de-loops that are present in the 16-bit version that are kind of iconic. So instead, they focused on these ramps that that launch Sonic up, which are kind of a way to give us a strong sense of speed with, I guess, within the limits of what they felt comfortable doing with this 8-bit hardware. Later Sonic 8-bit games on Master System and Game Gear did actually go ahead and do the loop-de-loops, but at this point they didn't feel comfortable with that. They also didn't feel comfortable, I guess, alright. So we got our... We want to get our continue, and we want to get 100 rings so that we can get the extra life. Any continues or 1-ups? hey, Reliet, it's been a while. Hey, yeah, we're doing Sonic the Hedgehog again. Do the last stream of the year the same way I started it, with some 8-bit Sonic. Yeah, because my first stream was, I played Sonic on Game Gear. No, I played Sonic on Game Gear and Undertale. And it wasn't my first playthrough of Undertale, I just figured I'd do it for the sake of a friend. And I'd strongly recommend never play Undertale or Deltarune on stream if it's your first time. Or if you do so, do not actually stream it under those categories, because you'll get a lot of characters in the stream. And a lot of people trying to get you to play the game a certain way, or a lot of people trying to spoil things either maliciously or more likely, like, thinking they're helping somehow. Oh, my holidays were nice and quiet, and just what I would have hoped for. Thanksgiving, you may have saw this, but Thanksgiving, that's our first Chaos Emerald there, because we are doing 100% runs today. Sonic, this game, instead of having the special stage contain the Chaos Emerald, they decided to hide the Chaos Emeralds within the stages themselves. So that was our first one right there. Yeah, Thanksgiving I did an 8-hour stream of VHS commercials from the late 80s and early 90s for my personal collection of tapes. And then, what did I do? Then I did... For Christmas, that was like an 8 or 9 hour stream. That was ridiculous. I'm never doing that again, but even though it was a lot of fun. Then on Christmas, and the VOD is still up on my, up here on Twitch. Don't think, I may or may not have put it on YouTube, but I did 2 public domain animes. I did Protectors of Universe and Solar Adventure. The second of which is a anti-communist propaganda anime from South Korea, so that was quite amusing. And that's all. Aside from that, I like to have nice quiet holidays at home, so I know for those who like to travel and have parties and stuff, you know, it's a bit of a bummer of a year. But fortunately, wasn't much of a shake-up from my normal... The biggest shake-ups in my normal routine was the fact that I incorporated Twitch streams into them, which I was particularly interested in this year, because I didn't have any responsibilities to other people this year. Well, in general, for holidays. Aside from, making some calls in the morning and evening. So I thought maybe if I could do something fun for the people who like my streams and might... oh, come on. Let me through, game. Let me through. Don't be a butt. Don't be a butt. Alright, it's gonna be a butt. Oh yeah, that's my first year doing streams. I started back in May, and this is the 67th stream I've done at this point. So I've streamed over, 30 days in terms of now. If you're not familiar with these Robotnik stages, now in the 8-bit version, you see I got a 1-up there. In the 16-bit original version, the third act is a full-blown stage, then you fight Robotnik at the end. And this version, they scaled it down a bit. The third stage is just a lead-up to the Robotnik encounter. And there are no rings. I guess to make up for the fact that it's such a short stage, they made it, you have to do perfect runs, though you are, unlike in the 16-bit version, allowed to, I watched Sonic Christmas Blast? Yeah, I never actually watched Sonic Christmas Blast. I need to see it sometime or another. And the interesting thing about Sonic Christmas Blast, isn't it kind of a weird, like, fusion of Sonic Sat AM and Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, pretty much? Isn't it, like, uses some characters from both, but it's more on the Adventures side than the Sat AM side? It's kind of like an odd fusion between them, as I understand. Yeah, so you are allowed to bring your shield into the next stage, but you, aside from that, you have to do the, Act 3. The boss fights are all, perfect, runs. Yeah, Sally Acorn is in Sonic Christmas Blast, even though it has the Adventures-style Dr. Robotnik. Yeah, so it's a pretty odd fusion of the two. Now, we have, Bridge Zone here. Our first unique zone. Now, if you were here during the hold screen, you would have saw that at one point there is an 8-bit version of the Bridge Zone theme that was composed and prepared for the game, left in the game's ROM file, but never used in the game. I guess they decided that all the different effects and elements of Bridge Zone weren't a good fit for the 8-bit hardware. So instead they created a completely new zone called Bridge Zone, which you see here. And in Bridge Zone, it's more platforming based, you know, just jumping between bridges and stuff like that. I guess a lot less hardware intensive. But okay, come on. There we go. Yeah, a lot less hardware intensive. But on the other, I don't know, I don't see it as a trade-off. I grew up with the 8-bit version of this game, so you'd enjoy, I enjoy Bridge Zone more than Marble Zone. But as a kid, Marble Zone was so exotic to me because I never had the Genesis version. I wasn't savvy enough to really recognize that this version had inferior graphics, but what I did recognize was that there was a different selection of stages. And this melody here was actually the basis for the Janet Jackson, not Jackson, the Janet Jackson track Together Again, which was from '96. So, and I believe Janet Jackson would have been doing a lot of tours in Europe, and in Europe, I do have a European cartridge, but unless you're playing it on, hey Kalaka Boy, happy to see you. The last stream of the year, we're going back to 8-bit Sonic. We're in Act 2. We're on the second act of Bridge Zone here, so we're pretty close to the end of the game. We haven't been streaming for very long. I don't know. Do I have an uptime? I don't think I have an uptime command handy. I don't think I set anything like that up. It would be exclamation point uptime. I don't think I did set that up, but we'll. Now, the key here. You'll have an easy time with this. You use the purple springs here. The purple springs are the ones that hop you the shortest. And, okay. Come on. Alright. I am a little shy of getting that 100 rings for the 1-up. Yeah, this is on, this is the Master System hardware, and it does look good for 8-bit. The Master System was a little bit more powerful. Now, I see the chat is, excuse me, I need to undo that. The chat is a little, there we go. Yeah, it looks really good for 8-bit. The Master System was a little more powerful than the NES. Excuse me, I'm using a massage chair, which helps, because normally I sit in this chair for hours, and not at a time, but I move around a lot more, so you don't have this many problems with stiffness and stuff like that. But because I'm sitting in the same spot to keep on camera, I get real stiff and have circulation issues sometimes, so I'm using a massage chair, and every 15 minutes it automatically turns itself off. So I have to restart that every once in a while. Fortunately, I'm not speedrunning. You loved your Christmas stream? Remember you mentioning you were going to make some Christmas... yeah, I didn't do it because, well, I was going to use wrapping paper as my backdrop for my camera view here. And what happened was it wasn't quite, it glared too much on camera with my lighting setup. And I decided I was either gonna make some Christmas decorations or do the wrapping paper, and I decided to do the wrapping paper instead. And when I did that, by the time I realized it would glare too much, it was kind of too late to go to the store and do everything I wanted to do, so maybe next year, we'll see. I still had a great stream on Christmas, so I'm glad you were able to enjoy it. I think you were in there for a few moments, but I'm glad you were able to enjoy the VOD. Yeah, so the Master System is a bit more powerful than the NES. So they were able to do some, compared to what would have been possible on NES, these are pretty good graphics and sound. Though I do like the 8-bit Sega hardware in terms of the Master System, or Mark III as it would be called in Japan, and the Game Gear has very distinctive sound. I can identify oh no! We actually took a death in Bridge Zone. That's quite embarrassing. Not something that normally happens. But, see, it only counts up, on screen, it only counts up to 9, but I think I have probably 13 or 14 lives by now. And you notice this is an auto-scroller, one of the very few auto-scrollers in Sonic. Certainly, I don't think there were any on the Genesis, which I'm not as familiar with. What I consider the 8-bit Sonic the Hedgehog, the Mario Land of the 2D Sonic series, that would be a pretty good analog. I wasn't much of a Nintendo kid until '95 when I got the Game Boy. It seemed like all my family members tended to have Nintendo systems, but all the kids in my neighborhood that I'd hang out with tended to have Sega. And but my family lived a lot further away. I only tend to see them on major, like, you know, out-of-state family trips or on the holidays, whereas my friends in my neighborhood, I only got 38 rings due to taking that loss there. So I did not access the special stage. Now, in the Genesis version, it always goes from, it starts off as Robotnik's face, and then you spin it, it turns into Sonic's face. And these 8-bit games, the panels were variable. If you got, in this game, it starts off with a question mark. When you spin it, if you get more than 50 rings, you get an exclamation mark, which takes you to the bonus stage. And then if you, I forgot to go back and get, I have to go back and get the 1-up. There we go, right there. Well, I'd be wearing a New Year hat on top of that. Well, I don't really have any hats that would fit because of all my hair. Maybe I'll do something. Not especially likely because I only just thought of it. But yeah, for New Year's I'm gonna start with Paper Mario. And I'm going to be in Paper Mario when he levels up. When Mario levels up, you can choose between leveling up your badge points, your heart points, which are your hit points, badge points, which lets you equip items that give you abilities and effects, and flower points, which lets you do abilities. Yes, Paper Mario 64. Yeah, which I got through about 70% of, and then I'd either have to return the game, because I only rented it as a kid. And I played it on the Wii Virtual Console, but I lost interest at about the same point where, you know, I practiced this the other day, and I actually took a couple of losses there. I think I died both times, just one hit short of finishing it. Yeah, so Paper Mario 64 with its infamous modified Mario enemies, which is something that Nintendo standards and practices no longer allows to exist in the Paper Mario series, with very few exceptions. Which is why you go from having unique bosses, like unique characters like the Koopa brothers, who are kind of like a Sentai team, like of Koopa Troopas, complete with actually using a mech in their boss fight. Or the who else do you fight? There's the like Tubba Blubba and Two-Tank Koopa. And now you have things like in the newest Paper Mario, you have inanimate objects like a box of colored pencils, which is something, I mean, thematic, I don't hate it because of the idea of it being a box of realistic, photorealistic box of colored pencils. Some people hate it just because of that. What I hate it for is that because they came up with that as a workaround for the fact they can't create new characters for bosses for the most part. Yeah, Tubba Blubba. With this cool, you know, it's funny, the, Harry Potter and Paper Mario spoilers here, but the whole, like, plot twist with Tubba Blubba actually allowed me to successfully predict, like, how Voldemort was able to remain invincible in Harry Potter. I actually predicted, like, what if his soul is outside his body or something like that? And that's the plot twist of Tubba Blubba, and that's what gave me the idea, and that was before Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, where you learn the existence of Horcruxes. Oh yeah, making your own digestives, that would be an interesting, interesting idea. An interesting, recipe to try out. Yeah, I think that type of cookie is called sweet meal, which is kind of like shortbread, but a little, I think, a little different. Now, this is one of the longer stages of the game, I believe, in terms of the map size. And we're going to... Okay, we're already... Look at how many rings I have. I don't want to get more than a... Oh man, I should have been paying more attention to my rings. I don't want to have more than 100 rings. If I get more than 100 rings, I'll get a 1-up, and my ring counter will go back to 0. And what... No! I said that, as I was saying that, I stopped paying attention. Now, this is a long Wait a second. Wait a second. Alright. I have two choices here. I could how does Sonic's traction feel compared to the Game Gear version? It is identical. The handling of Sonic is identical. What I'm going to do here is actually let the time... Should I let the timer run to 0? Because I missed the Chaos Emerald. I was too busy running my mouth, and I missed my chance to get the Chaos Emerald. Yeah, I'm going to let the timer run out, because it's not the exact same game. They changed the map. The Game Gear has a smaller aspect ratio, so they adapted some of the maps to accommodate for that, and in a way that to some makes the game easy. I think both the Game Gear and Master System versions of this game have their own quirks that make that version easy in their own way. Yeah, I'm gonna take the timer, because I've scrolled beyond the point where, yeah, I've scrolled too far away. Oh, wait, you know, I just realized the timer doesn't count down, it counts up, and you have 10 minutes to beat the stage. I'm not taking 10 minutes. I'm just gonna go ahead. Oh, there's a new bubble tea shop in your area. You're gonna try them out today? Alright. I hope you like your results. You like their bubble tea. I thought there were 2 minutes left. It counts up instead of down. So we're going to not get the actual proper happy ending in this version. So that'll give us some. Now this stage, Jungle 2, has ratchet scrolling. And if you don't know the phrase ratchet scrolling, it's that nonsense like in Kid Icarus or in Contra, where once something scrolls off screen, it leaves the game world. So see that grass that just scrolled up? If I jump down there, it would count as me falling down a bottomless pit. Anything that is not on screen does not count as existing in Sonic's world. So, I mean, they could have some rising water that kills you instantly, but no, there is no logical explanation for what within the Sonic's world is killing him. And I'm so used to the Game Gear version that I do take deaths sometime, because I'm used to, like, oh, I missed a ring, let me go back down and get it. And I go down there, and I take a death because of it. Which did happen while I was practicing. And, speaking, you were saying bubble tea reminded me, speaking of Asian kind of origin things, I, went to the mall for the first time since the virus hit North America. I went to the mall because my only pair of shoes was the only pair of non-dress shoes I have was extremely worn out, so I had to get a new pair, and I didn't want it, you know, with the mail backed up. Last pair I just ordered it online, but I just went to the mall and got a pair. And there was a gashapon machine, which are these Japanese toy vending machines that they're not like little 50-cent egg machines. They have pretty substantial toys in them. But what I didn't realize is that it doesn't take quarters or anything. You put in $5 into the machine, and it gives you tokens, which are $1 each. So you get you have to get 5 tokens. I don't know if you can really see this good. And because they had some, the camera isn't quite focusing on this, but they're these unique tokens that you use to operate the machines. And there was a machine that dispensed little Gundam heads. Well, actually, they're not little. They're actually very big. They're about half the size of a baseball. They're about the size of 2 golf balls. They're pretty substantial. Now, I can't get those rings because if I go down there, I'll die. Or Sonic will die, rather. And I was like, you know what? I was more amused by the tokens, because I'm amused by, like, coins and numismatics, and I do have a collection of various tokens, like, I have, like, tokens for, like, there was this laundromat I went to, and they had a car vacuum in the back, and they had tokens for the car vacuum. And, so I have some vacuums for, like, tokens for the vacuum, and it has a picture of a car vacuum on it. It says vacuum token. And I have tokens for bridges in New York City, where I used to live, and all kinds of stuff like that. So I was more interested in the fact that when I realized you can get tokens, I'm like, alright, I'm amused by these, I want to see what these tokens look like, and the Gundam thing they do this thing where you have to get 5 tokens at a time, which are $1 each, and none of them take 5 tokens, so it always leaves you with a surplus balance to try to get you to, I guess, buy more stuff. And, yeah, so it was my first encounter with a Gashapon machine. Now, the infamous thing is you try to collect them all, or there might be one thing you want, but there was one of the things you can get where it's a machine that had different Gundam heads. And I was like, they all look cool, but I really want the RX-78-2 Gundam, the original Gundam. And I get to keep 2 of the tokens. So I got $5 in tokens, and on my first try, I got the RX-78-2 Gundam head. It's not quite a model kit, but you do have to assemble it a little bit. So I haven't done that yet. And I'm not into, like, Funko Pops and just, like, toys to put on display for the most part. But this is something I will, like having, you know, on my computer or bookshelf, wherever I decide to put it. And as soon as I finish this boss, Clackable, I'm gonna take... Oh, no! I'm gonna take a look at it now. You saw the new, Pixar film Soul? Yeah. Yeah, I saw that. I'm not too big into films, frankly, but, I know the film itself looked good. I've heard, some interesting, you know, it's funny, the last Disney film I think I saw was, Zootopia, which was interesting, because I didn't realize it was going to be a gigantic, like, race relations allegory, which is very interesting in ways I could make a YouTube video about someday. But, oh my gosh, yeah, you have to do a perfect run when you fight all the bosses in this game. Now, this is as far as I got last time, because I had, online appointments I had to keep, so I had to stop practicing, so I didn't get to really practice the latter half of the game. And this is, the halfway point of the game right here. Yeah, the handling is just like the Game Gear game, but the screen is a lot smaller. And it's not that the screen is just shrunk down, it's like the aspect ratio is different. So they couldn't just take the screen and just make it smaller. They actually had to adapt, you know, account for... So now we see this, the map is scrolled up here. Alright. Yeah, but the movie, I didn't... what I saw... Oh my gosh, I took damage on the spikes, which is not something that normally happens. I'm a little flustered by that. Alright. We're gonna get the ring here. I forgot that there was a trap right there. Alright. Just get our air refilled. I mean, there's an air bubble. I don't know why. I don't remember having all these weird problems. But it has been a while since I played the game, so... Oh my... Yeah, I don't remember... Yeah, I don't... Okay, I mean, yeah, to the left I think is nothing but those rings. The real path is this way. Yeah, I know, like, Pixar kind of got stuck in a rut, or what some consider a rut for a while, where they were mostly just making sequels to stuff, to some of their most popular films, and so it's nice to see them get out of that. Now, I don't know what kind of timer these air bubbles are based on. Sometimes I swear it's random, and I just get bad luck, because I have, like, made it to an air bubble spot with a long period of time to spare, and just died waiting for an air bubble anyway. Even though by any reasonable measure I should have, an air bubble should have spawned by that point. So I don't know if it's some kind of universal timer that starts when you, Now those spikes, how those spikes get you is by you being impatient, pretty much. And, because the idea is that you'll get impatient and paranoid trying to get to the next air bubble, so you won't wait until the spike goes down. Do I have enough? Okay, I was scared as to whether or not I had enough momentum to make it over there or not. Alright, we're just gonna hit this. Come on. Please give me air bubble. There we go. Hey, Furby 2009. I don't remember seeing you in chat before. Are you familiar with this 8-bit version of Sonic the Hedgehog? I'm playing the Master System version right now. But, and I'm playing it, I'll show you real quick. I'm playing this on, oh, that's not a good, here we go. I'm playing this on an actual cartridge on my Analog Mega SG, and later I'll play the Game Gear version. To the left there, you can see my Game Gear cartridge sitting there in the adapter. Now, I have to wait till Orbinaut's spikes go away. Wait, I remember, have I seen you before? I do remember, I feel like I remember seeing you in chat before, Furby. Excuse me. I feel like I have, and I just forgot. Now that Orbinaut launches his spikes, he's totally helpless, so, I mean, he'll damage you if you don't run into him, but he's pretty formidable in this area where you can only go at a very slow speed, and in addition to that, you have a narrow passage to navigate in. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 50. Okay, we got our 50 rings for the our special stage. Now, what's over to the left? I keep forgetting. What's over to the left? Is there something worthwhile? There better be something worthwhile over here if I end up taking damage and losing my... Oh, it's a shield. Okay. That's, worth going for. Now, if I can't... Oh, no! I lost the shield. Oh, well. I was a little impatient there. I wasn't quite sure where... I was a little paranoid of running out of air. Well, actual hardware... Hey, Ralmerk. Yeah, actual hardware, debatable. I mean, it's not... I mean, it's at least... It's hardware in terms of an actual cartridge. Now, look at this. This is the first switch you introduce in the game. He starts off as a ring, and you can switch it to... Now, the cool thing about the Game Gear cartridge is that that is my actual childhood cartridge of Sonic the Hedgehog. And now notice how there's actual... They have the depth where the columns in the foreground are... Sonic passes behind them, and the columns in the background, Sonic passes in front of them, which is a cool little touch. Now... Is anyone here unfamiliar with this 8-bit version of Sonic the Hedgehog? Because it is... Now, normally I would... This isn't a speedrun or anything. This is just a sort of an exhibition run to demonstrate the game. Because a lot of people aren't very familiar with this 8-bit version of Sonic. Especially in North America. I think it got a little more exposure since the Master System. Now, this game was made with the Master System in mind, but the Game Gear is the version that got more international recognition. Like, for instance, on like the different re-releases of this game in Japan, the like GameCube and the Sonic Gems collection on PS2 or whatever, those versions, the 8-bit version of Sonic 1 was the Game Gear version. A lot of people in Europe were like, why is there the Game Gear version? They should have the Master System version, which has the bigger screen, as you see here. Now, the reason that I do have this big TV frame here, it's not just for flavor, it does add a lot for that, but also there's this very large, you see that black on the bottom and on the left and on the top, that is just a big loading seam. And some games that have loading seams, such as, well, most Master System games do have that, but games like Super Mario Bros. 3 on the NES, the original NES version, as well as, I'm trying to think of another example. Okay. Yeah, Sonic on Super Mario Bros. 3, the original NES version, has the loading seam. Kirby's Adventure, a lot of those later NES games that have those additional chips in them use those loading seams. And, excuse me, let me just take a little water. Yeah. Well, some of those games didn't cover it up, but Master System games, I believe, most of which have loading seams, they will cover them up using a color that's already... Oh my gosh. I did all that for nothing. Oh well. Once again, going through a bunch of trouble to get a shield and then immediately losing the shield on the way back from the path to get the shield. But, ultimately nothing lost, right? At least I still have the 20... Well, actually, I didn't get that for nothing. At least I still have the rings that I earned. Okay. Now, this... They did revise this map a bit for the Game Gear version. Yeah, a lot of people, especially in North America, aren't really familiar with these 8-bit versions, and I hear it a lot, and I heard it on the Angry Video Game Nerd review, which kind of annoyed me. Like, people were saying, like, oh, review the bad Sonic the Hedgehog games, like Sonic Labyrinth and Sonic Blast, and I think, well, he was in character as the nerd, but he was kind of explaining, quasi out of character, that it's not fair to, like, judge, like, the Master System, or the handheld Sonic games, because, like, as bad Sonic games, like Sonic Labyrinth and Sonic, Blast, because those were on a handheld system, so the standard shouldn't be as high. Oh, come on. Please give me an air bubble. Please, I made it. I made it to the checkpoint. Please, give me my air bubble. Air bubble. Air bubble. Air bubble. Air bubble. Hello. I'm gonna die. Come on. That was ridiculous. That game... That just stole it from me. I made it there, and it just did not spawn a bubble. It is... I'm sure this is random. This has to be random. Well, at least I have a chance to redeem myself with the shield, right? And we jump. And I have no rings, so if I die there... Okay, at least I got some rings now. But I guaranteed to get the shield. But I'm like, no, like, that's not fair to, like, say, like, oh, Sonic Blast... To give Sonic Blast and Sonic Labyrinth an excuse because, you know, they're handheld games, so, you know, it shouldn't be held to as high standard. No, look at this. This is a great Sonic game, for the 8-bit handheld. Well, this version isn't handheld. And that Orbinaut is what always reminds me I'm going the wrong way, because if I go there, there's just, like, a ring box or something something stupid like that that's not really worth it. Where I want to go... Well, first off, I'm going to refresh my air supply. Okay. There we go. Refresh the air supply. Take this guy out. And... Yeah, like, and Sonic... Like, this is a great game. Sonic Chaos... that is just me being careless and forgetting that that's there. Even though the graphic cue for its existence was there, so there's not really much of an excuse for me. Okay. Yeah, like Sonic, this is a great Sonic game. Sonic 2, I think, is too hard and not balanced well. But then, oh, you're from Brazil. Okay, now that explains it, because that's part of why I do this. Not many people from North America, where I'm from, are into the or have much of a history with these 8-bit versions of Sonic, because yeah, Master System was very popular in Brazil. And I believe there's still, like, aren't they, like, plug-and-play versions of a Master System still on the market? Yeah, your first console was Mega Drive, so you didn't play the 8-bit versions, but you would have... Oh, man, that was just me being careless. That's a little embarrassing, I gotta admit. Alright, at least we got the checkmark box. Yeah, Nintendo, they weren't able to, do their sort of... Yeah, they had a real I believe, and isn't Brazil, isn't that a PAL market? Don't you have, the PAL broadcast standard there? Because I know in all the PAL regions, like in the UK and Europe and in, most of South America, it seems like the Master System had a much stronger presence. Whereas, I think, like, Nintendo had a really weird launch rollout for the NES in Europe, where there were different versions. Come on, give me the air bubble. Give me the air bubble. Thank you. That was ridiculous. I'm not losing and taking a third death and Labyrinth, and especially not to the air bubble, which is just can be flat out cruel. Now, this is a cool part of the game. This is not in the Game Gear version. In the Game Gear version... Oh, excuse me. I didn't mean to move that. I meant to move chat, because I just realized that, there we go. I'm gonna move chat over a bit. I guess I could shrink it down a little bit, so it's not obscuring the gameplay field quite as much. And really, chat is mostly for the benefit of the VOD. Oh, you used NTSC? Alright, excuse me. I keep getting confused, because I know there are parts of South and Central America that use PAL, and there are other parts that use NTSC. But the cool thing is, with Master System, I have a cartridge. The cartridge I have is, I imported this from the UK. And, no, I wasn't paying much attention. Now, what you're supposed to do, you're supposed to use the invincibility to go through the spikes to get the Chaos Emerald. I was careless and forgot to get the Chaos Emerald in Jungle Zone, so we're already not going to get 100% in this. But right after this, I'm going to take a break. Once we beat this Master System version, I'm going to take like a 6-7 minute break and play the, to stretch and whatever. And then I'll be playing the Master System version. Playing the Game Gear version. I have the Game Gear version ready to go. I've got my childhood cartridge and the adapter ready to go. Yeah, so in February we've got Chinese New Year, we've got Valentine's Day, we've got Mardi Gras. Maybe for Valentine's Day I'll play a graphic novel or something dorky like that. I'm not big into graphic novels or dating sims or whatever, but I don't know, the ones that are kind of tongue-in-cheek I find amusing. I know Doki Doki Literature Club. I don't know much about it. I know that there is kind of a horror mystery element to it, and some fourth wall breaking stuff in that game. And then there... Oh my gosh, I fouled it up there. You know what? I'm not going for the 1-up at this point. And I know there's, like, Hatoful Boyfriend, where you're going on dates with pigeons and birds. And then there's, there's, angels with scaly wings? Oh my gosh, that was embarrassing, There's angels with scaly wings where you're going on dates with dragons and stuff. Like, the games where it's kind of like... where I personally can't take it that seriously, I find more amusing. Sort of have a gimmick to it, where it's either tongue-in-cheek or it's so goofy that, like, you can't really take it that seriously. That's more probably what I do in terms of a, if I were to ever stream a dating sim or graphic novel type thing. Anything where I'm seriously, like, going on dates with, like, little anime schoolgirls, it's like, oh, come on, like, I can't, it's just too silly to me. Oh my goodness, that was careless. There's a pattern I have where if I follow the pattern, I'm basically at 0 threat from Robotnik. And this... Oh yeah, there's a Peanuts Valentine special. I'm probably... not gonna do anything where I could either get banned for copyright issues, or if I could potentially, I don't know if it's on Charlie Brown Thanksgiving, Charlie Brown Valentine's, that might be on Amazon, but I'm not subscribed to it right now. But one of the shows I'm watching his Dark Materials on HBO, and that's having its, I think that's having its season finale in a couple of, I think it had season finale yesterday, and I just haven't watched it yet. Man, I don't know how I got out of my groove with that, but that's the only show I'm watching right now, his Dark Materials, which I will strongly recommend. Anyone who is into stuff like, where you have, like, parallel universes and that kind of fiction, like taking, oh my gosh, any kind of stuff like that. If you like that kind of fiction, you know, steampunk, parallel universes, that kind of stuff, you're gonna really like his Dark Materials. The second season just ended. Alright, there we go. I should be safe now. But then once that season ends, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm probably gonna cancel my HBO subscription. How do I get into these situations where they're too... okay, I'm still have at least 9 or more lives. I wish I had a chance to practice this. I forgot I had some kind of pattern where if I followed it, basically Robotnik never was a problem for me. Actually, I'm gonna stay on this side. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna stay on this side. And if I stay to the left, when he shoots the torpedo, it'll never hit me. I don't like the really narrow... I really feel like staying on this side, I'm gonna be able to be a lot safer. And once she launches it, the torpedo can't change direction. And if I crouch here... yeah, but the point of all that was, once I cancel my HBO subscription, then I could possibly use that money instead to subscribe to Amazon, which would make it possible for me to... oh! Oh my gosh, this is really... I hate that. Really embarrassing. Like, how do I... Okay, I'm gonna have to focus for this. I don't remember ever taking... only in my first couple of streams do I ever remember having this much of a problem with Robotnik. You know what, this time I'm gonna try to stay on the left. I'll have to... man, I really should have looked at my videos my older videos to look at my pattern for this. I thought I had this down. I'm gonna stay on the left this time. I don't like how narrow a window I have between dodging the fireball and... the fireball, like, I have to crouch under the fireball. I have to crouch under the fireball. Alright, that time it wasn't so tight. Now, I could go for multiple hits, but this isn't a speed run, and the more hits I take, the more man, I'm only have 8 lives. I typically, on a playthrough, I'd never end up with fewer than 9 lives, which is... so this isn't the best run ever right now. I usually will take a couple of deaths here, but normally I don't have... I wouldn't have taken so many of the deaths in terms of the times the air bubble, like, caused me to die when it just wouldn't spawn in time. By the way, unique boss music here that does not appear in any other game. I do like this version of Robotnik's theme, a lot more energetic than the more slower, more menacing theme from the Genesis version of the Robotnik boss fights. This is a lot more energetic, and I do like this theme a lot more. Oh, that's the first time I did that. I wasn't paying attention as I did it. Your 80s kid, your favorite toy of all time is He-Man. Mattel is reproducing the old toys with enhancements, buying back your childhood. You know, speaking of, that's an interesting you should mention that. I mean, not to just, like... I was never into He-Man. He-Man was on reruns when I was a little kid, and my brother was older than me, so he was more into him, but... Like, G1 Transformers and My Little Pony was still on air when I was a little kid. I didn't really watch either of those. I was more into, like, the Flintstones and stuff. But one thing Well, I just, last week, I actually went on eBay and I bought some of the Ertl die-cast Thomas toys. So I'm kind of rebuying my childhood. I bought, like, I remember back in, like, 2001, I wanted Mavis so much. Mavis, the diesel tram engine. Now, look at, I just want to pause every time. I always want to, look at the backdrop here. So atmospheric with these limited graphics. You get the image of this smoggy, dusky, industrial city full of traps and conveyor belts and buzzsaws and evil robots. Really conveyed very well by the graphics in the backdrop here. Now this is actually, now we're in Scrap Brain, which is, you know, towards the end of the game here, actually a very easy first level in Scrap Brain. You basically just run straight through it. Now if you know what's going on, you can just earn back a 1-up and a little bit of my dignity. Now, the fire jets don't come down far enough to hit Sonic here, but you have the lightning trap there. Oh my gosh. Now in the Game Gear version, because of the revamped map design, all of those fire jets can actually strike Sonic, so you have to be a little more careful there. But yeah, this is a very easy reintroduction to the Switch if you do not hit the Switch object. Now, here I might as well grab every ring I can, because if, you cannot access the special stage after Labyrinth Zone. So starting in Scrap Brain, you can no longer access the special stage. So there's no harm done because, like, if I get 100 rings, it gives me a 1-up and restarts. Normally, I don't want to get the 1-up from that. I want to get the 50 rings and end the stage with that, so that I can... Now, the second two stages... yeah, but the point is, I went on eBay, and I finally got Mavis, the diesel tram engine. I think Mavis is based on, like, a Class 4 shunter. There's basically these diesel trams that would have been used on the Wisbech and Upwell tramway in England in the mid-20th century. But the point is, I'm finally going back and buying all the metal Thomas toys. And the thing about the old... Oh my goodness, that was just careless. The thing about the old Ertl die-cast toys from the 80s and 90s is that the locomotives, the proportions of the locomotives are based on... of all the engine characters, are based on the proportions of the real-life engines. Like, they're not like these sort of cartoony, like these sort of super deformed, like, cutesy-looking toy trains. I mean, they are metal toy trains, but they're based on the actual locomotives, more so than the toys that they have nowadays. So... I mean, honestly, like, even as a kid, like, my favorite, there's some Thomas characters that do not have faces, like City of Truro and, Bluebell, that, are just realistic engines that don't have faces on their Smoke Bark stores, and those are actually some of my favorites, because even as a little kid, I preferred having just toy trains as opposed to having the trains with the faces on them. And so if they just made... like a range of die-cast metal toys in that range, Now, I have to... Now, check this out. I have to go down first. Yeah, I have to go down first here. Now, this is a bit of a maze. The second level is even more of a maze. But I have to go down first. And the Game Gear version, they actually add a pig enemy there. I forgot what they're officially called. I just know they're bouncing pigs that remind me of Spioink from Pokemon. And you just have to go all the way down. Oh, good thing I was rolled up, or else I would have lost a credit there. Well, I wouldn't have lost a credit. Now I have to make the jump here. Oh no! I have to redo that. I have to redo that now. And you can't make that jump. You can't do that jump by falling. I do want to take a little water. I want to redo that. That was quite embarrassing. You can't make the... You have to... It's very tricky to make that... To go into that little nook while falling. Oh yeah, January 6th, the day of Epiphany. King... also known as... Yeah, in my family... my parents didn't really recognize that, but my grandmother... she called it Little Christmas, because January 6th is the 12th day of Christmastide. And, you know the song, The 12 Days of Christmas? A lot of people think the 12 Days of Christmas are the days leading up to January 25th. It's actually the 12 days after January 25th, traditionally. And my grandmother would actually open our Christmas on the day of the Epiphany. So Mexican bakeries, now I didn't know about how Mexican, this part is new to me. Mexican bakeries spell a special sweet bread, Rosca de Reyes, if I'm saying that yet. The King's Crown. It's the same idea as Mardi Gras King's Cake. Small plastic baby Jesus is hidden inside for someone to find. I'd highly recommend to go to your local bakery to find one. That's a cool tradition, though, like, I guess the parent in me is, who I didn't grow up with this. So the parent in me is slightly frightened by the idea of a small and edible item inside of a cake. But yeah, that's a new tradition. That's a tradition that's new to me. So it's interesting learning about. There's so many different traditions and customs around Christmas, other than what we know in North America. Like that. Now, this is that path that looked like a bottomless pit is actually the way to the Chaos Emerald, which is kind of pointless because I already missed out on the Jungle Zone Emerald. But we have to... Okay, now we can continue on this way. And we're gonna... Now, those are actual bottomless pits, so we don't want to fall in those. And I have no rings right now, so I'm a bit of a dangerous spot. Wow, I clipped through the ceiling a bit there. That's interesting. So we're back here. And we're gonna have to redo a bit of the stage in order to get back to the same fork. There are two forks in the road, one of which you can only go through. This is a weeb thing to admit, but you're a Kamen Rider toy collector, and every year they release a special cake for families on Christmas. And inside the cake and shrink wrap, there's a holiday-themed version of whatever collectible gimmick it is for the toy line that season. You get yours in the mail, so no cake included. Okay. Alright, that's interesting. But yeah, Reliad, yeah, you were talking all about, Sentai and Tokusatsu, you know, special effects superhero shows. And you're saying you're really into that. So, yeah, it's... I may be new to some people in the chat, but, yeah, I remember you telling me about that a while back. There we go. Now, because I hit the switch the first time, now I can make my way to the left. Which was, oh my gosh, I did all this with no rings. If I was careless and you're getting your Rosca de Reyes soon, and you'll eat it during your show. Oh my, the way it's so like the part of the reason I go out of my way to like have like pictures of my setup here, sort of ready to go, like to show people like, here's what I'm seeing, because I don't like giving people like a sense of what's going on in my immediate surroundings, I guess. And I think of, like, you know, different foods I eat during certain games I like to play or played in the past. I know I mentioned before the potato salad that I used to eat one year while I played this DOS game called Sandstorm, which is like sort of a game about the Cold War. Your desk is neater than yours? Oh, well, you know, I just do what I can. I mean, that's not the most... I mean, that's the gist of my general setup. I do have... yeah, that's the gist of my general setup. Now, this is a... You notice, there's no time limit on this stage. This is a stage where the time limit does not matter. Normally, you only have 10 minutes to clear a stage. Here, there's no time limit because this is a maze stage. There's a very complex... Well, not very complex, but there's a specific order you have to go through this. And I want to remember this here. Okay, I go straight. Okay, I go down. And this one doesn't ignite. Okay. Straight. Down. Up. Left. And then I go up. And then I go up here. And then I go left up here. Now the path is sort of highlighted with rings, so it kind of informs, okay, this is the way you're supposed to go. Oh, you're not. That's a switch you're not supposed to hit. Now the maze section, the maze section is over, and we're at Scrap Brain Act 3, and Scrap Brain being the last level in the Genesis version. So we're just going to and at Act 3 you always fight Robotnik, but oh, there he is. And, yeah, how embarrassing. Sonic the Hedgehog just got outrun by Robotnik, who took an elevator up to somewhere else. So what could possibly, if you're not familiar with the Genesis version, I mean, if this 8-bit version, if you're only familiar with Genesis, okay, Act 3 Scrap Brain is the end of the game in the Genesis version. What could possibly, where did Robotnik take an elevator to after Scrap Brain? Yeah, yeah, this is a bit more Mario-like. So we're at Sky Base Zone, and if you saw the map there, if you're merely, okay, that was an actual seizure hazard for a moment because I paused in the middle of the flashing animation, and they weren't as much, they really weren't as knowledgeable about photo sensitivity and things like that back then. You know, more opportunities for puzzles, and I think they played to the strengths of this version of the game. And what was it? What was I getting at? Yeah, they added an extra stage at the end. There's no... so there's still the same number of stages, but they added, instead of Scrap Brain being at the end, they added another stage following Scrap Brain, Sky Base. And if you're familiar with the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, the image of Sonic the Hedgehog's island from his home planet is actually based on the map screen from this 8-bit version of Sonic. And so when I started the game, and I'm like, wow, they're actually acknowledging the 8-bit version of Sonic the Hedgehog, that was when I know, like, okay, this is gonna be better than I expected. Because only a real fan would know, like, would acknowledge, go as far as to use artwork from the 8-bit version of Sonic the Hedgehog. Oh my gosh. Wow, I was lucky there. Now, there's no checkpoints in these. You have to beat the entire level perfectly. Oh, well, not perfectly. They are rings, but... So you can't take hits, but there's no checkpoints. And, this 8-bit version of Sonic the Hedgehog, the map screen, is actually the earliest, in-game... The earliest existing depiction of Sonic the Hedgehog, of the island that this game is supposed to take place on. Oh my goodness, I'm having a lot of bad luck with pausing during those flashing moments. And it's funny, I've streamed this game a number of times, and I've never had problems with pausing during the lightning, because that actually is a genuine hazard for if anyone is photosensitive. That flashing there could actually trigger a seizure, so... yeah, so that's something too. I wonder if they fixed that, or made any changes for that in, like, the Virtual Console release of this game. Alright, perfect timing there. Okay. Now, I'm going out of my way. There's no real incentive to collect as many rings as possible here. Because, as I see it... Oh my goodness. Now, like, pretty much... I can't access the special stage here, so there's no reason for me to keep above 50 rings. And if I keep as many rings around, if I take a hit without a shield, then there's more likely to be rings nearby for me to be able to grab and protect myself. Alright. I keep forgetting the rules for these, yeah, these only move while Sonic is standing on them. So when the lightning comes, you can stand out the way. Oh my goodness! I'm having the worst... would I ever at any point during your future streaming career want to play a modern Sonic game? Yeah, I was... holy Hannah, quite the G-rated swear there. Would I play modern Sonic games? I actually have Sonic Adventure. I have Sonic Adventure, which is the most. Well, heck, I'm gonna eventually probably play Sonic Forces, which I played about 10% of and got so mad at that I stopped it. And it's not even that I was mad at. I mean, the Sonic Forces is a mess in its own way, but now look, we've boarded an airship. So the Sky Base Zone is the launch pad for Robotnik Zeppelin, and this is actually the earliest depiction of Dr. Robotnik having some kind of flying some kind of aircraft or space station as his. See, look, you can see the Zeppelin there. This is the earliest depiction of Robotnik having a flying base. Now, if I go up, there's a gauntlet of cannons and propellers and Bob-omb-like enemies. You receive Sonic Mania as a gift on stream, and you're gonna play that later tonight. And technically, it's a modern Sonic game. Oh, I'd actually consider that a modern Sonic game, not considering the technicality that modern and classic Sonic are literally separate characters. And it's so weird. Like, imagine, I mean, classic Sonic, like the Genesis era, is only like the first 8 years of Sonic's existence. So it's so bizarre to me. Imagine if, like after Super Mario World, pretty much, all Sonic games after Super Mario World were considered like a separate character than the original Mario. That would be such a weird thing, but that's basically what happened with Sonic. Like, there's this classic Sonic that only represents the first 8 years of Sonic's existence. So odd to me. Now, I'm going, not only is this a means to bypass a great deal of, well, most of the gauntlet of the first part of the stage, but this is the only way you can get the Chaos Emerald. And it's much harder to make that jump in the... Game Gear version. Now this scene here kind of resembles some of the end stages of, yeah, that gauntlet there resembles the end stages of Super Mario Bros. 3, where you have all those cannons and everything. Look at all, I love this, so atmospheric here. Look at all the buttons and control panels and stuff. Adds so much character to the scene here. And I did forget the Jungle Zone Chaos Emerald. So we won't be getting... Now, it's interesting you should mention that, Reliet, because I was going to mention this myself. There, in, Sonic... No, in, well, now, this is the last stage here. I'm gonna pause and mention this. Now, I just saw this on Twitter yesterday. There is a series of shirts for Super Mario, all the main 2D, all the main Mario games that they're releasing at the Nintendo New York City store. And there's like a Super Mario Brothers 1, 2, and 3 shirt. Those come in boxes that look like the boxes for the games, I guess. And then there's a Super Mario World shirt. And they all have artwork, the 2D hand-drawn artwork from those games. There's a Mario 64 shirt, and it has newly created 2D artwork in the style of like Super Mario World or Super Mario Bros. 3 era Mario. It's 2D artwork of Mario with the wing cap, which never existed before. So there's kind of this retroactive like thing where they have this new like 2D artwork of Mario 64 era Mario. So we got the final boss. We got to focus a little bit here. You'll see that the final bosses are very different. Now, if you look at the Nintendo NYC, I believe is the... If you look at the Nintendo Store's official Twitter account, you can see this artwork. I believe this artwork was possibly made specifically for this shirt. And... because I don't think it existed prior to this. Now, at some point... Now, this electric wall thing, at some point the rules for how this works are going to change. See, now look, now it tracks me. Before, it would go on its own sort of timer. Now it sort of, yeah, see, it's a, oh, well, I see you found it. Oh my gosh, I missed it. I missed that. So we got about halfway there. But I still have 8 lives left, and I have the continues, so this won't be a problem. I just realized this might be one of the first times I made it all the way through Skybase, in terms of the... Yeah, I made it all the way through Skybase without taking any deaths in the stage. This might be the first run where that never happened. Yeah, it's one of those things like seeing Abe Lincoln with a submachine gun. It's like, wait, something doesn't quite work right here. Or Abe Lincoln with a smartphone, pretty much. There's a more... I mean, it's... it equally applies, but it's like a bit more obvious. It could end up happening, who knows? Yeah, it's one of those anachronistic kind of things where it's like, oh my goodness. Yeah, I have to remember the... These are both very easy when you have time. I'm gonna have to... Once I make it to the point in the stage where... Yeah, once I make it to the point where... Yeah, but I do need to... I'm gonna need to focus... Once I get through the halfway point of this stage where the barrier starts to track Sonic's movement, then I'm going to have to go into serious mode and focus a bit. Now, I do have, I think, 3 or 4 continues or something crazy like that, which each have 3 lives in them. So I have 7... I have basically a total of 16 lives right now, for practical purposes. I mean, well, there is the Archie crossover between Sonic and Mega Man, where Wily and Robotnik are friends. Or Eggman, rather, excuse me. I have to be specific. Okay, I have to focus now. Because you have the crazy Archie Sonic Universe stuff. Oh my... I was going to start focusing once I left the spot, but I clearly didn't. Yeah, that crazy Archieverse stuff where Dr. Robotnik and Dr. Eggman are literally different people who on a couple of occasions literally appeared side by side. Once I get to the point where the fireball, once I get to the point where the electric wall starts to track my movements, that's when I'll start to focus and take it more seriously. Because I can get through this part pretty easily. And I know the collision on Robotnik's capsule is a little off. I have to just restart my chair here. Yeah, the collision on Robotnik's capsule is a little off, where it can let you inside sometimes. But it let me inside, but I wasn't... Okay, we're at phase 2 now, so... Alright, here we go. Oh, I was 1 pixel away from being outside of its range. I'm like, this is gonna be close. But, yeah, that part I remember. It goes on, off. On, off. And a couple of streams I actually said it out loud. On, off. On, off. Not to keep me focused. Yeah, I was just on the very edge of its hitbox. So I think I was literally 1 pixel away from being safe there. I was close enough, like, yeah, I didn't visibly touch Sonic, but I feel like the hitbox was close enough that I didn't feel cheated by that, because I was the one. I did elect to take the risk there, because I knew it was going to be, I was going to get close there. Probably should have waited another cycle. Like, that was close, but that was a calculated risk. No, not happening. Oh, that was... I started running, but wasn't looking at the electric ball. Oh, come on. I don't want to get a game over. If I get a game over, I'm going to lose all my points. Not that points genuinely matter, but... I don't think that counted as a hit. That was a little close, not super close, but close enough. Alright. Now we're at phase 2 here. Okay, focus time. Hey, we got him. And... time. Alright. We beat Robotnik.
Happy congratulations, Eliza Girth.
Oh, hey, thank you. Thanks for the, donation. Hold on, why didn't it play? Why didn't it play? Should have played. Oh, okay, here we go.
Happy Combolations Eliza Girth. Happy Combolations Eliza Girth.
Alright. No, I'm not trying to frighten you like last time, where you thought...
Happy Combolations Eliza Girth.
Yeah, well, thanks for the support. Never...
Happy Combolations Eliza Girth.
Never necessary. Always appreciated. I don't remember what that's from, but it sounds like some Homestar Runner nonsense. Am I right? Okay. We beat Robotnik, so in the tradition of the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, when we beat Robotnik, we go to Olive Garden on the stream. So, yeah, you know what's... That's a little freaky. That I literally do not remember. I don't remember that Senior Card Gauge said it. I just remember the fact that that sounds like Homestar Runner style humor. And I have not watched anything Homestar related in years. I don't know, maybe it's because I have a background as a writer, I can recognize certain styles or something. Yeah, I used one of Sonic's portal rings from the movie to go to Olive Garden. Ironically enough, I did actually go to Olive Garden a few days on like Sunday. Takeout. I just ordered drive-through takeout, which is the first time I've eaten at Olive Garden since the. No, I got takeout at Olive Garden once since the pandemic started in North America. Yes. Alright. So, we have, we beat Sonic the Hedgehog for Master System. Not with the true happy ending, unfortunately. But what I'm going to do now, actually, yeah. We're going to take a little break. Nah, we're going to go to... And mind you, I want to make this disclaimer. Olive Garden is not legitimate Italian food. It is Italian-themed fast food. But for what it is, it's fine. I mean, there's a reason I haven't gone there in a number of years. Now, I'm going to take a little break. I'm going to take a 7-minute break. And when we come back, we're going to go to Sonic on Game Gear. For, we'll go ahead and insert the cartridge now. Let's see. And we'll just start the system up. And run cartridge. And let's go to my rest screen. Why don't I'm gonna turn... Wait a second. Actually, I guess I'll just do this in real time. Video capture... And source, we want our game here. We just want it off screen, not visible. And then we're gonna mute the music. So we have some Sonic music going on. Keep it a theme to the game. Now we're not gonna go to Sonic 2 because if I went to Sonic 2, we'd be playing the first level of the game. We'd be playing the first 2 levels for like 3 hours, which is what happened last time I tried to play Sonic 2 for Game Gear. We're gonna play the game. We're gonna play the Game Gear version of the same game we just played, and we're gonna start the timer, and I'll be back in 7 minutes. So, where is my microphone? Here we go. So, see you in a minute. Hey, we're back. Alright, let's hop over to... Well, first, I just want to show you nice up close while I have the chance, because obviously I don't have a console cam yet. I just want to show you nice up close because I'm just really happy that I'm able to stream this with my own actual childhood Sonic the Hedgehog cartridge. Just pop that back in there, turn that bad boy on, and there is the console and how it's set up right now with the well, only now it's the Master System cartridge has been replaced by the Sonic the Hedgehog one, and that there's the layout in general and what I'm kind of looking at for the most part, except for the monitor on the right that has the game on it. Now that's sitting on top of a VCR DVD burner that has HDMI out. But no, we want to go to, there we go, that's what we want to see. Now this time, you're going to remember to actually get the Chaos Emerald so we can get the proper ending. because I think the ending, the 100% ending, like this image here, this is how they depict. They use this as the basis for how Sonic's world is depicted in the movie. As you can see here, Sonic lost his nose during the transition to the Game Boy. I mean, the Game Gear. I don't know why. Now, on one hand, you can see less of the game world, but what's here seems absolutely gigantic to me. Now, if you want to... So since we have the cart... Let me do a quick side-by-side comparison. This... I'm going to show you the how it looks on the Master System, then I'll switch to Game Gear and we'll stick there. And so here's how it looks. So here's how this looks on the Master System. The sprites are smaller, but you can see so much more. And yeah, it didn't change off the Game Gear frame. The Game Gear frame is not part of the Mega SG. That is something I added for flavor. Which, alright, there we go. It takes a second for this thing to boot up. So excuse me, but we're gonna go ahead with the game proper now. Thanks for putting up with my... Now you notice the Game Gear version has the Sega chime in it. That is not... The Master System version has the logo built into it, so they wouldn't have built it into the game. And on the Analog Mega SG, they do not have the Sega, you know, the like startup chime because Analog, the maker of the console, does not have the copyrights to have the logo on their system, even though, like, the patents and, like, legally they could have the system be compatible with Sega cartridges, but they can't use the trademarks or anything. Alright. So let's get started for real with Sonic the Hedgehog on Game Gear, this being my first video game experience. Well, I haven't played games before, but the first game I ever owned, my first real game I owned and got to sit down with, which interestingly enough, my parents got me, well, they gave it to me while I was having my hair braided for the first time to keep me occupied. So pretty much, I became a gamer the same day I first got my hair braided. And we want to get our 50 rings so that we can... There we go. So we're guaranteed entry to the special stage as long as I don't screw this up and lose the rings somehow. I mean, in stage 1, if I lose the dog... And by the way, this stage... Oh yeah, this stage is the only stage in the game that has the speed power up in it. And if you were there for the beginning of how the special stage looked, and at the beginning of well, the special stage in the Master System version has many springs of different power, or of different, like, strengths that will bounce Sonic higher or lower. They made it much easier here because the screen crunch, they decided to just simplify it, make it a lot easier. And they added an extra life monitor that you could collect in addition to the equivalent stage of this in the Master System version. Only has a monitor for a continue, whereas this has both the continue and the extra Sonic. No, actually, no. It only has the... I already got my extra life and my continue, so actually... So I might as well just go to... I also give you a lot more time. Much more generous with time in this one. In many aspects, this version is... For everything that makes this version... I heard people say that, like, especially people accustomed to the Master System version, that this is a little too easy compared to the Master System version. I say that for everything that makes the Master System version harder, there's something else. Like, the two balance each other out. Now, one interesting thing in terms of game design, there's a sign with an exclamation mark here, warning you that there's a bottomless pit. Now, they could have just made instead of having an invisible hole there that looks like solid, they could have just made a visible hole so you know to jump down there, and because there's no other path to progress. Or, yeah, they could have just made that invisible, but in the Master System version, there's no sign there, so it actually takes you by surprise. This is... Now, they needed some signs like that in the Genesis version, where there's these parts, in Green Hill Zone especially, where it encourages you to go really fast, and then it just hits you with a spring to go back, or or a spike trap or something. If there was like a speed limit sign, or a caution sign like that to warn you there's a hazard coming up, it would give you a fair chance to stop to cancel your momentum. Now, and something about the capture card doesn't, oh my, wow. Should I restart? Gee whiz. You notice they started Crush Jam, your alter ego suddenly grew answers. Oh yeah, I was holding colorful objects. He had glow sticks. What do I have? I think I already deleted my Christmas, well, I could... Where is my... I already have the image in here. Where is it? Should be down towards the bottom. Where is... Why? You know what? I think did I delete the image already? Jeez. I was actually efficient for once in getting rid of something I would never need again. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Spoilers for the next game. Where is... Because I've got... Well, the point is... yeah, I actually deleted something I wasn't going to use again for a year, or so I thought. Because usually I tend to leave images that I only got for one stream, and to just, like, leave them there. But, yeah, there's a... My friend who does all the art for me, she drew me as a moose, and that's what that is. Well, now I want you to see... Now, okay, because you seem a little... Okay, now I have to. I wasn't going to, but... Okay. No, that's not what I wanted to do. It's not what I wanted to do. Add source. Add new instead. Okay. You just gotta look in... It's gotta be around here. Okay. Did I delete it already? Jeez. Yeah, that's not my Lunarian character. That's just me as an anthropomorphic moose. And I have they had like Christmas lights strung up on his antlers. You know what? I'm just gonna restart. I don't like this run. Not that I'm a speedrun or anything, but just the fact that... yeah, I need those... I'm gonna need those lives for Robotnik. I don't know how well I will or won't do. So, excuse me. We're not gonna... No, yeah, Lunarians don't have antlers. That was just flat out, like, me drawn as a moose with Christmas lights on his antlers and waving glow sticks. Yeah, that's all that was. It's not like a new, like, polar variant of a Lunarian or anything like that. It's just me as a moose. And I actually... yeah, I don't actually have a whole lot of... I, like, have, like... different versions of me, but I don't really have much art of... Oh my gosh, I did it again. This is the last time I restart. Last time, yeah, I don't really get me as an actual proper, like, furry, I guess, or like an actual real-life animal. I just never really... This wasn't that interesting to me, I guess. But I no thematically the idea of going to like a moose going to a rave and having like Christmas lights strung up on his antlers. That was an interesting idea to me, so that's why I got that. And I did that like years and years ago. I probably, yeah, it's not something I'd probably have even commissioned nowadays, but because I happen to have it sitting around and I don't do anything with it, I'm like, well, it's the only Christmas-themed art I have, so I might as well use it. Alright. Get our... Okay. And I don't have... I cannot lose here. I cannot lose my rings here. I do not have to reset again on stage 1. Yeah, I guess... I don't know. I guess a lot of people, like, when they have, like, characters or artwork of themselves, it's like... Some people explain it as, like, oh, that's, like, what I wish I was, or sort of an idealized version of me, but it's like... Any character of me, like, whether I'm like, some kind of weird alien or creature or monster, or it's like... I have one piece of art of me that's like a His Dark Materials sort of version of me, where I have my my spirit animal, or as it would be called in that world, a demon, not meaning like a devil or a bad spirit, just like demon in literally the like more ancient form of the word, just meaning a spirit. So they're like all those, they're more just sort of reflections of me through the lens of my own imagination, which is why I like you just sort of use them for decoration more so than to actually try to represent it as though, like, yes, I really am a Lunarian and doing a role-playing thing, and that never struck me, that never just did anything for me. And I don't really like roleplay or anything, whether it's, like, online chat or, like, a Dungeons & Dragons type thing. It's just not something that clicks with the way my brain works and the way I think about the world or anything. I don't know. But that's just me personally. I'm not criticizing anyone who may feel differently. And it's funny, because I never... Like, if there was, like, if there was, like a line in the sand, where you either are a furry or aren't, I guess I am, but, like, I never identified much with it, like, because I always like cartoons and creatures and monsters and stuff, but like, the community or the scene, I guess I don't identify with it as much as you typically might expect. And I actually just remembered something, like, I remember years ago, someone wanted me to, like, this is when I was more active on YouTube, like, wanted me to, like, plug their YouTube channel or something, and they got mad that I wouldn't, and they're like, oh, you should support me because I'm a furry just like you, and I have a folder with more than, like, 1,000 furry girl pictures in it, or it's something ridiculous like that. I said, I'm like, dude, that doesn't, like, I don't care, that doesn't mean anything, and if you were identifying with me based on that, like, based on the assumption that I had a folder with a bunch of furry girl pictures, or whatever he called them, like, this also reminds me of, like, in high school, once this, like, at one point I had to sit in this table of people I otherwise didn't click with, because for some reason they tolerated me. Oh, it's not a downgrade actually, really, this is not a graphical downgrade whatsoever. Actually, this is the Game Gear is actually more powerful than the Master System. It is like 1% more powerful. It can display slightly more colors, and because of that, the Game Gear has an adapter where it can play Master System cartridges. The Master System there's no adapter for the Master System to play Game Gear cartridges. Now, I was talking about some loser years ago when I was more active on YouTube who was trying to, like, guilt me into plugging their YouTube channel because, oh, like, I'm a furry too. I have more than 3,000 furry girl pics on my computer. I'm like, first, like, that's the stupidest reason possible. That doesn't make me like you. That doesn't impress me. And like, people think they're like me for reasons that have nothing to do with reality, I guess. Like, that's what I was getting at. In high school, at one point I had to sit at a table of people in school during lunch that really I didn't click with, but they tolerated me sitting with them when none of the other tables would. And they were kind of stoner types. And then for some reason this other girl wanted to sit there, and none of them liked her. And, like... And they were like, oh, well, Aaron, like, oh, you could sit with me because you could at least he smokes weed. And I was like, dude, I never smoked weed in my life, which is true to this day. And they're like, and the guy was like, what? You don't smoke? I started smoking for nothing, and I only started smoking because I thought you smoked. And I was like, okay, way to be your own person, dude. Okay. Yeah. Well, the thing is about a tool is that, theoretically, a tool would be useful for something. And, yeah, the aspect ratio is reduced, and it's not that they didn't just shrink everything down. If they shrunk... Actually, the sprites appear a lot bigger on, I attract a lot of weirdos. Oh boy, I could tell you some stories about some of the people I ran into in college. Oh boy. Yeah, my college, had a tendency to attract a lot of characters in them. There was, one, like... well, part of it is because at the time I enrolled, not by the later on. Within a couple years, this was no longer the case, but at one point, my college was one of the only colleges in the region that would accept students without an SAT score. So, yeah, so because of that, a lot of people, on the autism spectrum and had other learning disabilities who were college material, but who, whose intelligence and capabilities weren't reflected by the way that, weren't reflected by the way the SAT was structured at the time. So you got a lot of characters in the college because of that. I mean, there are all kinds of people there. I mean, I was among them, so I'm one to talk. But there was one guy, like I know, like there was one guy who actually was into a lot of like tokusatsu type stuff that I was friends with for a while. But that, yeah, that's not something worth talking about right now. But there's another guy who said he owned a publishing company, and they later had a falling out, and they ended up having a dumbass boxing match with each other, and then then later on he got arrested for money laundering, which is hilarious. And at the time I was like, I saw him on the news, I'm like, holy crap, like money laundering, really? Like, you owe me $300, and you, like, what are you talking about, like, freaking laundering now you're getting arrested for laundering money? Meanwhile, I owe you, you owe me, like, $300 that I didn't even care about, because I'm like, if you need $300, just have the $300. But yeah, there are all kinds of characters at that place, and I was among them. I think part of the reason, aside from that, what I like to joke, at one point there was some kind of spiritualist, like, cult-type group in the 1930s or 40s that owned the mansion that was sort of the anchor building for this college campus. And the thing is that, the joke was that the college was cursed. Oh no, I sort of do my own thing. Oh, well, the thing is, Farron Boy, you, weren't at that college. Which I'm very glad you weren't at the time. Yeah, I'm very glad you weren't at that college. Oh, and, hi, by the way. I saw you lurking. I don't call out my lurkers, in case you're, like, doing something, like, something crazy, like, I don't know, something crazy and complicated and time-consuming, you just have me on as background noise. that you don't feel obligated to participate in chat, or if you're not into that. So I really don't... Oh, come on. Look at this nonsense. Look at this nonsense. Oh, yeah, I work freelance doing my own stuff. But come on, look at this nonsense. I can't escape. I can't escape. Sonic's trapped. Look at this bull. This is some butt right here. This is some maximum tuchus. You're driving from NY to CA. What? Well, if you're on audio, I don't know if you're at the wheel, if you have someone else driving while you're a passenger, or if you're just listening to the audio right now. But I am trapped in between a bumper and a pole, and I can't escape. And I can't escape what's happening right here. Yeah, but there you get all kinds of weird characters, and then like, I'm so close to escaping. I'm so close to escaping. But then, like, before the money laundering thing, he got arrested another time for he was basically making pickles without like a license. So he got arrested for like making pickles without a license too, which is kind of ridiculous. I wasn't really friends with them anymore by that point. So like, I left them behind well before any of the more exciting things I've heard about happen. I just happened to hear about them like second or third hand, or like happened to just see it on the news or something. But okay, now we're in Bridge Zone. We're in the auto scroller stage. Wait a second. I don't even remember being this far in the game. Did I get the Chaos Emerald? I hope I got the Chaos Emerald. Yeah, I hope I got the Chaos Emerald, or else we're not gonna see, you're not gonna get max special bonus today, and we're not gonna see the proper true ending of Sonic the Hedgehog 8-bit. And I do stand by that the 8-bit version of Sonic the Hedgehog is in fact a superior ending to the one in the 16-bit version. Because like with like the themes of this game about like industrialism versus conservation, and you know, the factories versus forests and animals versus robots, I really feel like the ending of this version is better than the ending in the Genesis version when you get all Chaos Emeralds. Alright. And if we don't get all Chaos Emeralds, if I miss one, then what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna, because I now have this set up ready to go, I'm just gonna open up... Woo! I'm just gonna open up YouTube and look up like Sonic the Hedgehog Master System all Chaos Emeralds ending, and we'll just watch it on YouTube. And because I can't quite get it to work perfectly, or else I just go to my own YouTube channel and watch my own VODs of the ending. But yeah, but I have a wheel set up for in Paper Mario. I just bumped my camera a bit. In Paper Mario, when I do that, starting on New Year's Day, every time I level up, I'm gonna you have 3 stats. When you level up, it's not like Mario gets stronger or more powerful. There are just 3 stats you could choose to increase. There's your heart points, which are your hit points. There's your flower points, which is kind of your magic points, or MP, your ability to use special abilities and stuff like that. And then there's your badge points, which are which actually allow you to equip those special and more powerful attacks. And oh, they massively increased the time limit in these special stages, because the pinball, and it looked like to the left of the screen at one point, it looked like I could see like an area. I want to look on Sonic. on like one of those websites that have like the full map ripped from the ROM file, because it looked like there was an area of unused stuff to the left of the pinball table, and that being actually the very first instance of Sonic being represented, well, Sonic and pinball. The fact that, oh, Sonic's often rolled up as a ball, let's have a level where he acts as a pinball. Now, if you remember the boss from last time, it's much a simpler arena here. This time, there's no, in the boss stage for Bridge Zone in Master System, you could, there were pits where you could fall into water. Here, there's just a bridge. And if you either duck here, or stand exactly in the center here, Robotnik's bullets will never hit you. It's just a matter of... And mind you, I did not know this as a kid, so it was a much trickier affair. And I would probably already be in Labyrinth Zone if I didn't restart so many times. I restarted as though I was doing a speed run, and I'm not, but... thanks for all who bared with me during all those resets. Now, I know the shield here, the shield that Sonic's wearing, it has a really extreme flicker effect due to the capture card. Just thinking about the frame rate. I tried messing around with it to try to... But on stream and in my broadcast software, you often can either just see Sonic or just see the shield. You can either see one or the other at a time, so it's kind of this annoying effect where Sonic disappears for a few moments at a time, or... And the Chaos Emeralds are the same thing. But when I look at the... on my monitor that I'm playing the game on, you cannot see that. It just looks as intended. Now, that was just careless. I lost my shield for basically no reason. I love the background of all the other fruits and stuff in this stage. I think you'd think all these, it looks like tomatoes and pears. There's a lot of fruits to be visible in the game to not be able to collect them. Now, this stage is one of the stages that is unique to the 8-bit version of this game. And this is the stage where I ruined my... this is the stage where I ruined my Max Special Bonus All Emeralds run. Because I forgot to... Okay. The next to these big waterfalls, I have to remember to get the Chaos Emerald there. Which involves a secret path on the bottom. There we go. Yeah, much easier to go under them while they're up in the air than to try to go back and get them. We'll try to go under the crab meat. Well, that's not crab meat. The piranha enemy. It should be down here. There we go. No, just pausing to restart my massage chair. Well, it's not a massage chair. It's the same chair as I've always sat in. It's just has a cushion added to it. Yeah. And we're... Oh! There we go. We're already at 53 rings, so we don't want to go up. We don't want to go past 99. So we're just gonna avoid that ring box, because the ring boxes give you instantly 10 rings. You want to keep it between 50 and 100. This is one of the longer stages of the game, as I said before. It feels much longer on the Master System version, I guess because you can see more of the stage at once. And there's... Right there, that's, I think, the last of those ramps in the game. Because there are no loop-de-loops, but they use ramps instead they use ramps to give a sense of speed and height and fast motion. Ah, there we go. Another bonus stage, this time only 1 minute long. We don't have much time to mess around here. Yeah, I think this is just a repeat of the first bonus stage, but they just added those bumpers going back and forth. I mean, I feel comfortable enough that I'm actually going back. Can I get about 15 coins? No! I was like 2 rings away from getting 100 rings. If I had hit the, reminds you of that Yoshi's Story level, the one with the rings? You know, it's funny. I loved Yoshi's Story as a kid, but I have not really properly played it since then. I have that on the Wii Virtual Console. I will be playing it on stream eventually. But now look at, if you were here when I was playing the Master System version of this, I told you about the ratchet scrolling. Well, not here. You see, it actually scrolls up and down, which is not only fairer, but it's just, in terms of world building, it's like, that platform's there. Just because it's not on screen for a moment does not mean it's exited existence. Like, if Sonic looks down, what's he supposed to see? And that's in the Master System version of the stage, that would have killed him. Now, I didn't mean to, I actually clipped through that log. That shield, I don't think that shield is there. So I don't remember the level of Yoshi's Story with the springs. You know what, you know what I'm gonna do at some point? I'm probably gonna play through the Yoshi platformers roughly in order. Because I could play most of those on my Wii U. Because I have Yoshi's Story for N64, then I have... Yeah, and yeah, about Porygon, even though, you know, it's Porygon. Oh my gosh, those iframes. Oh my goodness, those iframes, yo, or lack thereof. Designer frame, yeah. Yeah, what's interesting to me is, like, what kind of... Did Uri Geller have some kind of legal agreement with the Pokemon Company or Nintendo or whatever that somehow only bound them to the use of Kadabra in the card game? Because you'd think... Because the trademark would for Kadabra... Like, that trademark would have... Those trademarks would have applied throughout any media that the character would appear in, but it only seems to, in terms of, like, removal from the game, only seem to affect the card game. You know, if he wants to apologize for Pokemon for suing him, then I think he should, then Uri Geller should apologize to the Amazing Randy for suing him for busting him when he was using, passing off magic tricks as psychic powers, and defrauding people. Because, I mean, you could argue, like, hey, maybe psychic phenomena do exist, but Amazing Randy was able to objectively prove that Uri Geller was using magic tricks, and he was using trickery to claim that he had special powers, at least in the sessions that he busted him on. And I think Uri Geller sued him, and he had to defend himself, you know, in court. So I think he should. James Randi recently passed away, so I think it should be. I think that's a more bigger deal conceptually than having a hissy fit over, you know, being loosely parodied in a children's monster training game. Yeah, but the thing is, like, that's like the whole. Yeah, I know his like Japanese like name is like a reference to Uri Geller, but the equivalent, like, if that standard were to apply, that you can't make fun of someone in that loose of a sense, then Saturday Night Live would have been sued out of existence decades ago, like in Mad Magazine and things like that. I think ultimately it's more of an issue of Pokemon not feeling like, or like going through the public spectacle of going to court and defending him. They just say, okay, fine, if he doesn't want us to make the card of this character, we're not gonna make it. Because I think if they really, like, seriously, like, fought it, I think they would have won. Yeah, if they actually fought that in court, I think Pokemon would have won on that, but I decided let's get this out of the news. We don't want to have this stupid controversy associated with our brand. So, ironically, like, I've for years, since the 90s, have had, like, my first exposure to Uri Geller was his lawsuit against Pokemon, or legal claims against Pokemon. So, I've always had a bad impression. He's claiming, like, they're, you know, they're using my brand, associating it with a satanic character, or whatever he was saying at the time. I always had a negative impression of him based on that lawsuit, more so than the Pokemon giving me a bad impression. Him doing the lawsuit gave me a bad impression. And then, so it's kind of ironic. Oh my gosh! You can die after... You don't die until Robotnik's left the screen, so even during his death animation, you can take a hit from the cannonballs. And also, the exploding cannonball you could take... The frame of damage exists until the smoke from the bomb leaves the screen. So I was very anxious there. I was about to lose during Robotnik's death animation. Yeah, and it got to the point where, wasn't there at some point they actually made a trainer card that lets you evolve Abra directly into Alakazam, so that they could avoid reprinting Kadabra cards. So they, like, the copyright holders of Pokemon, I just sort of voluntarily did that to avoid more controversy. But you know, it's I guess it's nice that he lightened up. And I guess grew as a person enough to the point where he didn't take offense to that anymore. And realized there was no harm meant or done in that. And he probably damaged his own reputation more among a whole generation of kids by doing that than he would have if he just, like, you know, just take the joke. And even though that would have been protected under parody anyway, if it seriously did come down to an issue of it going to court. Which is why, like, a lot of times, like... That's why Nintendo doesn't, like, when there's copyright issues on, like, YouTube or something, and Nintendo doesn't like something, they'll go to YouTube and cut a deal with YouTube to make them take it down or whatever, but they'll rarely actually sue the person responsible, because if they were to sue the person, and a lot of those times, if it were to come down to a lawsuit, in many cases, it would actually probably come down to fair use. Whereas if it was just an issue of whatever deal Nintendo cuts with YouTube, then they don't have to go to court. Whereas if it went to court, a lot of times they would have the potential of losing the case, which would set a precedent that would let a lot of things Nintendo doesn't like sort of automatically get considered fair use without even having to go to court about it. Which is why Nintendo very rarely sues people over YouTube content, even if they don't like the content or want to claim that it's not fair use or whatever. So, yeah. Yeah, I would say for everything, for everything in this game that, like, there are things in each edition of the game that they're kind of balanced out in terms of, like, okay, so the Game Gear version doesn't have the ratchet scrolling, but the Master System version, some parts of the game, like in Scrap Brain Zone, are actually easier, like there are fewer enemies placed and the traps are a little more forgiving in the... So, in each version, I think it sort of balances out that they're ultimately about the same difficulty. They're just harder or easier in distinct ways. Another one up. And our Chaos Emerald is going to be in the second act of Labyrinth. Sometimes, like, it's not... All the Chaos Emeralds are always either in the first or second act, but it's not consistent. Like, sometimes the Chaos Emerald will be, like, in Jungle... No, in Green Hill, the Chaos Emerald is in Act 2. But in Act 2... In Bridge Zone, the Chaos Emerald... No, in Chaos... No, in Scrap Brain... No, in Green Hill and Bridge, the Emerald is in Act 2. And Jungle of the Emerald is in Act 1. So they're very different. So that's the difference between them, pretty much. Now, I only have 30 seconds. Now, this is... Hey, we made it. So now we just gotta go... Oh. Now, in Master System, in this version of this special stage, there's a continue box. And it's very easy to get to, but you have to actually collect it. You have to know how to jump at it in a very specific way. And if you don't know that way, it is virtually impossible to actually collect the continue. To the point where there's a joke video on YouTube of someone trying to collect the that continue box, which is like C-O-N-T, for short for continue. And because they edited the box when they couldn't reach it, and they edited one of the letters in C-O-N-T to say a rude word to express their frustration with being unable to collect the box. But I actually did figure out how to do it through trial and error. Oh no! Almost. And we're just gonna collect the bubble there. Because this game is awfully finicky. There's a 1-up over here that I'm gonna collect. Now, I don't think I'll ever do speedruns of this, but eventually I will probably, at some point in the future, not anytime soon, because Paper Mario is going to take a while to get through. But what I would like to do is, come on, bubble, air bubble, air bubble. There we go. Yeah, those are on a, like orange. I think there's just like, imagine like every 10 seconds there's just a coin flip as to whether or not it'll give me the air bubble. And if you just keep getting tails on that coin flip, you're eventually just going to run out of air. Now this section here is much more forgiving in the Game Gear version. Oh no! Fortunately, I'm nowhere near in a position to be going for special stage anymore. And this, by the way, this here is the last level from which you can access the special stage, because you can't access special stage in boss fights. Oh my goodness. You gotta be butting me. Yeah, you can't access special stage in boss fights, and you can't access it from Scrap Brain or Skybase. So this is the last stage that you can reach, from which you can access the special stage. There should be an air bubble up here. Oh no, there's invincibility. Oh my goodness. It can't possibly be that far away. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. Oh my goodness. That was what got me there was the difference between the menu, between the map layouts, because the map layouts are very different, and they're different, they're similar enough that you feel at home, but different enough to lure you into a false sense of security. And me just not remembering the difference in the level layouts there is what caused me to run out of air. Yeah, so I don't think I'll ever do speed runs of this game. But what I would consider doing is single credit runs, so that would be no deaths. That would be an interesting challenge. I'm not the kind of person who could sit there for like 5 or 6 hours playing the game, though, even with breaks. So that kind of grinding is easier to do for the sort of people who can sit there all day and try something. But I don't want to do something to the point where I stop enjoying playing the game, because I only pick this up every few months. And actually, that invincibility block, there's no point in it being there. Because in the Master System version, you use that invincibility block in order to access the Chaos Emerald. Whereas here they just give you the Chaos Emerald. They don't place spikes that you need the damage boost through. So I don't know why they left that that invincibility block in the stage layout. See, look, they just put the Chaos Emerald there, so you just collect it. Whereas in the... I mean, they could have just put spikes there. I don't know why they didn't. I guess they decided it was too difficult with the screen crunch or whatever. Alright, so we're on to Labyrinth Robotnik. And then Scrap Brain. So we're nearly at we're like 80%, 85% of the way through the game at this point already. Now the extra life up here is much easier to collect in the Game Gear version. Now I said that, but I could very easily there are no rings in the Robotnik stages, so if I lose a life doing this, there's no that 1-up does not regenerate. So there'd be no motivation for me to go back and try to well, in my opinion, even if I lost my life, if I lost a credit on the way to the 1-up, it would be not quite worth it to go back again and do it. Now, I have to remember what the rules are for this. Yeah, it's just sitting there. Just sitting there like it's nothing. Oh, listen, this stream, hey, if he wants to go to, he wants to get delivery Olive Garden tonight, hey, if you need to have the $5 refunded, I'm more than happy to do that if you want to spend it on Olive Garden instead. Because, I'm not sponsored by Olive Garden or anything like that, so, any additional business that Olive Garden gets as a result of that, I mean, hey, okay, wait, we have a momentous moment right here. I did the Olive Garden thing as a joke because they go to Olive Garden in the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, and, like, spoilers, when they beat Robotnik, like, the general guy from the US government comes and gives them a gift card to Olive Garden as a reward. And it's like this really cheesy product placement thing. I wonder how that played over in, I don't know if they have Olive Garden in Europe. I mean, how disgusting would it be if they actually have Olive Garden in freaking Italy? But anyway, and like Japan and Europe where they don't have Olive Garden. Like, yeah, I wonder like how pointless that scene must have been. But yeah, I put that there was a shameless product placement in the movie for Olive Garden. They mentioned Olive Garden a number of times throughout the movie. So I put that in there as a joke, because, like, oh, it's just like in the movie, when they beat Robotnik, they get to go to Olive Garden. So I, put that in there as a joke because of that. So now, really, you're saying your brother saw that, and now wants to go to Olive Garden. So we actually have a confirmed case of the Olive Garden product placements in the Sonic the Hedgehog movie. Indirectly, yeah, the stimulus situation, pretty much, yeah, pretty much, the same thing. What I find ironic, and I'm flirting with getting into politics here. I'll just briefly say this. I don't want the stream to dwell on this or anything. I'll say two things. First, I saw a hashtag on Twitter, Mitch better have my money, which was kind of amusing. And second, the president, wanted to increase the stimulus to $2,000, and regardless of anything else I feel about him, just objectively speaking, the time to do things to make people like you is before the election. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. So, so we won't dwell on that any further. But yeah, Mitch better have my money instead of a more, something else instead of Mitch. I found that amusing. But, yeah, so we beat Robotnik with far fewer deaths in, this time. Now, on one hand, I kind of had practice from playing on the Master System, but the Master System version of that arena is so much larger that... So now we're in, Scrap Brain. You can't see as much of the skyline here because because of the screen crunch. And it's funny, because the screen crunch you'd think would make the sprites smaller, but it actually led to them... It actually led to the... Now, that Caterkiller enemy, that was not present. yeah, and it's funny because that was the last movie I saw in theaters. Oh no, I missed. Oh no. Well, I was gonna say I missed my only chance to get it. I have another chance now. Not that I wanted to. I'd rather have. Well, if I collect the one up this time, then I will have net. I will net. Will have no loss in the number of credits. You can only check your full. No, how do, you know what? The jump timing in the Master System version is a little different. Whew. So yeah, they added more enemies in Scrap Brain in the Game Gear version, and this for the last level of what should be the last stage of the game. This is a relatively tame first stage for Scrap Brain. Sonic is supposed to be 15 years old canonically around the adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog 1. Something like that. All that matters is he's a teenager, because in the 90s, being a teenager is the most hip and marketable thing possible. Yeah, by that metric, Sonic has little competition. Yeah, Sonic movie was the last movie I saw in theaters. I can't think of any other movies I would have went to see otherwise. Yeah, I can't think of any other movies I would have otherwise went to go see in theaters. But for the Sonic movie, even if they didn't redesign Sonic to look less nightmarish, I would have went to the Sonic movie specifically for the sake of just seeing Jim Carrey's... I mean, even with the Sonic redesign, I didn't go to see a Sonic the Hedgehog movie. I went to go see the Dr. Robotnik origin story. Because I didn't see... I was spoiler-free for, like, the initial trailer. I didn't know how they would approach the costume for Dr. Robotnik. And when I saw Jim Carrey step off of his, like, armored, truck with the black trench coat with the very slight red highlights on the inside of the coat, I was like, okay, this is how you deal with a real-world version of Dr. Robotnik. Like, I like that. Just the black trench coat with the black sunglasses, and he's got the red trim on the inside of the jacket. I'm like, yeah, this is exactly how I would deal with a real-life version of Dr. Robotnik. And then when I saw him, they explain it in the movie explicitly, but then when they show him in the trailer, you can see when he's piloting the mech, and he has the red outfit, I'm like, oh, that's how they're gonna deal with it. The red outfit and the goggles are gonna be his piloting suit. That's how they deal with him getting into, like, the Eggman uniform. Like, I really liked... Once I'm like, okay, regardless of anything else, they're dealing with how to do a Dr. Robotnik origin story very well. He ad-libbed the line at... and the line at the ending where he fully becomes Eggman. Yeah, and, like... we have to go down first, because at the fourth floor you have to go down. And, like... What is it, yeah, I really liked how they dealt with Robotnik, and it's funny because see, look, I have to go back for a second. That enemy there, that enemy does not exist in the Master System version. Yeah, you know, it's funny because the Sonic movie, it goes into this trope that a lot of a lot of adaptations of cartoons and stuff do, where they'll make it the movie about the main character going for, like, Thomas the Tank Engine, the Thomas the Magic Railroad movie did this too, to a smaller extent, where they make it an element where it's about the character going from the character's own world into the real world. And the Smurfs movie did this, the Fat Albert movie also did this, and it's like, why not just make it, well, for a lot of the reason why is that it's a lot cheaper to film in the real world than it is to film in the completely, like, CG or completely animated world. But, for having gone with that trope, I think the movie was a lot better than it should have been. Same with Detective Pikachu. Well, Detective Pikachu's a little different because instead of going from like the Pokemon world to the real world, it's just the Pokemon world just depicted through live action. Yeah, I have weird mixed feelings about this. I think the main problems with the Thomas and the Magic Railroad movie is that they waited 5 years too late to make a Shining Time Station movie. Because by the time that movie came out, almost all of the kids who had seen that show on PBS would have outgrown Thomas, unless you're like a autistic nerd like me and went to go see it anyway. I know it was on reruns on Fox Family at one point, and then, in preparation for the movie, they started airing Shining Time Station on Nick Jr., but all the kids who grew up with Shining Time Station would have definitely aged out of Thomas, would have aged out of Thomas and the Magic Railroad by the time the movie came out in 2000. And then, in terms of the original market for the source material being Great Britain, they had absolutely no history with the Shining Time Station setting. So it was just like, who are these characters? What is going on? So they waited too long for kids that grew up watching Shining Time Station on PBS. And then for the mother country of the franchise, they had no history with the Thomas, with the Shining Time Station setting and characters. So they kind of just missed all the marks on there. Yeah, I really kind of fell out of Thomas by the... Yeah, like, what's the point of, like, having a... And it's weird how, at the time, like, in the theater, like, on July 26, 2000, when that movie came out, seeing Shining Time Station again, like, when they rebuilt the sets and everything, was so nostalgic. But at the same... Okay, I have to focus for this part. You have to go straight through here. Straight, go down. Straight down, you have to go up, and to the left, go up, and go up, to go up again, and then to the left. Up to the left once I have the chance to, have a... Okay, we made it. We made it. The challenge of the level is basically over at this point. Yeah, it's like, why... And it's funny, because Schemer... I forgot the guy who played Schemer, but he kind of stayed on board with the franchise, doing like live appearances and autograph signings and stuff for a few years after the show went on hiatus. Oh my god. So as a way to Shining Time Station movie 0 out of 10. As a way to troll a certain someone, they made a Sonic Chew ripoff, only instead of Sonic and Pikachu, they called it Thomas Sonic, and the TTEE community on DeviantArt thought it was real and took great offense to it. Huh. Alright, that's interesting. Yeah, I really think... Yeah, I don't... Hold on. Yeah. Let's see if I can get through this the first time. Like, now I'm going to pause. Yeah, okay, so the GameCube version has the seizure thing too. Like, DeviantArt has a lot of weird elements to it. Well, I mean, it's only appropriate that a place called DeviantArt would be freaking weird, but, like, and plus, I think maybe to a certain extent, DeviantArt lets you see a lot of things that little kids might otherwise just be doing in their notebooks with like Crayola markers or something that you otherwise normally wouldn't get to see. But you know, they're just different things like the 9/11. Like, there's this thing on DeviantArt, if you're not aware of it, of Lion King characters mourning 9/11 that appears very frequently in, like, around, like, the anniversary of the terrorist attacks. That probably started from just, like, little kids, like, at the time, just, like, you know, you know, just dealing with the tragedy and in a way that's normal for them. But then it got to a point where it became a kind of a annual tradition where a lot of people who like kids who would have been who were born after 9/11 or would have been like infants at the time, participating in it. So it's sort of interesting how, like, on one hand, yeah, it's a little odd. It's like easy to make fun of, but it's interesting sort of how this sort of became a cultural way to sort of commemorate the lives lost that sort of passed between generations, in a sense you could say, through this unrelated, completely unrelated, like cartoon movie that was very fair to describe as a complete ripoff of Kimba the White Lion. So, oh my gosh, that was almost a disaster. I mean, I don't have anything at stake in terms of. Wow, I feel like now I have to make a bit of a leap of faith to get to the. Wow, this is the second time. So for both. I know there was Lion Guard, which was kind of a. Like kind of a sequel to Lion King that also kind of retconned a couple of the direct to VHS Lion King sequels. I don't know any Lion King lore aside from the main movie, so I don't know if I'm not familiar enough with My Little Pony or with Lion Guard to know if it was a My Little Pony Friendship is Magic ripoff or anything like that. So I'm gonna just have to take your word for it on that. But I know, like, if you look at it a little too hard, like, the whole, like, arc of Lion King is kind of interesting, because it's like, yeah, like Scar is, you know, bad, and so Simba comes back, and he challenges him, and fights him, and defeats him, and takes his true place as the king of I don't know, Africa, or the savannah, I don't know. The king of, I guess, the jungle or the animal kingdom or whatever. But it's like, yay, we've overthrown hereditary monarchy in order to restore... I mean, no, we've overthrown hereditary dictatorship in the form of Scar in order to restore hereditary dictatorship in the form of Simba. Because he... Oh my goodness, I missed... I didn't... I guess I wasn't, Oh yeah, there was that, yeah, because didn't... yeah, well... Yeah, there are those Easter eggs where you could... well... The Lion King cartoon crossover with the Hercules one, in which Simba, adult, got kidnapped and forced to fight against Hercules in Gladiator Ring. Also in the same series, Jafar is sent to the underworld, where Hades offers to bring him back if he can help him kill Hercules. That's interesting, because I know there's kind of this... Like, the TV series, like the Saturday morning cartoons based on Disney movies kind of had their own sort of universe where they were crossing over into each other and stuff. But in the Hercules movie, isn't there a scene where someone is wearing what is explicitly, like the pelt of Scar? Like, for a brief moment? Like, wearing it as like a cape or something like that? So... But heck, if you take it too seriously, didn't the Timon and Pumbaa cartoon, like, didn't that have crossovers with, like, Timon and Pumbaa, like, interacting with, like, contemporary, like, 20th century, like, Western civilization? Or something crazy like that? So, that would clash with, like, the idea that, like, Lion King is going on at the same time as, like, Hercules and Aladdin, because, like, Hercules and Aladdin, okay, those could be theoretically taking place in the same parts of the world, if you hand-waved it a bit, but, like... Yeah, no, that's one of those things where it's like, it's just the animators having fun, don't take it too seriously. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe I took it... I don't know if it's because of... You know what, Okay, that was just not knowing where to jump to. In the Master System version, you can actually see the edge of where you're supposed to jump for that. It's one of those things where it's like, okay, it's just a cartoon, the writers are having fun, just sort of loosely tying things together. Don't take it too seriously. Sort of like the Wild Mass guessing page in TV tropes, where it's just like fun, like, oh, like what if, what if these two franchises took place in the same universe, because there's enough stuff that doesn't clash, you could technically, like, link these two things together. Or like something like Hunger Games, where it's like centuries in the future. You could put that in the centuries. You could put that at the end of almost any franchise. You could say like Hunger Games, like Panem was founded like centuries after, I don't know, like almost anything that takes place in our Earth, arguably. You could tie things together and it's just fun. But there are people who take that way too seriously. Which is why, like, I don't even like MatPat that much. I don't dislike him, I just don't like his stuff. And sometimes he got to a point where, like, it started off and his stuff was like, okay, this is clearly, like, yeah, he's pointing out actual things but it got to a point where I guess he started taking himself too seriously, where it stopped being like, oh, that time I kind of just took it like, oh, you could step on them like a bullet bill, but that's not the case. I think it got to a point sometime where I think MatPat was maybe started taking his stuff, his own, like, Wild Mass Guess TV trope style theories too seriously, or were enough people were taking his joke, somewhat tongue-in-cheek theories too seriously, and being like, oh, it's confirmed that this and that because MatPat said so, or MatPat proved it, when it's like, yeah, sometimes he, like, will link things together, but it's sort of for fun, and you're not supposed to take it that seriously. And there are points where I think where either his fans, or viewers, or he himself was taking things too seriously, where it stopped being fun, and I stopped liking the videos so much, where it's like, okay, which is why I think when he made, like, the theory, like, oh, that Ness from Earthbound is actually Sans from Undertale, and I don't think that video was supposed to be taken that seriously. But people were like, as far as I understand, didn't look too closely at this, I understand a lot of people were seriously angry about that video. And it's like, it was never meant to be taken that seriously. I don't think. Oh my goodness. Like, the timing and the jumping in that little part of the stage is so different compared to the Master System version that I keep fouling it up. And notice the lack of rings in the interface. You have to do this as a perfect run, unless you were talented enough to bring a shield with you from the earlier parts of Skybase. Now the propellers. There's a bit of, I guess we could say, is inconsistent game design or visual vocabulary. I guess inconsistent game design vocabulary, where the propellers on the back of these platforms, I guess, are just to inform you that when you step on the platform, the propeller will move. I mean, the platform will move in the opposite direction of the. Whereas there are other propellers that are the propellers of the ship itself, and parts of the stage we won't see here, because this route is a lot easier. And this is the route you have to take in order to collect the Chaos Emerald, which you already did, so we don't have to do that again. But, okay. I'm gonna focus now. Alright, I've basically got it at this point. It's that one moment. Okay, yeah, it was just that one little tiny moment between the two cannons where I kept where I kept dying. But the final Robotnik comes after this, so. I rather consist. It seems like the first time I beat the stage, I got 10 extra rings. Look at that beautiful screen down there with all the Chaos Emeralds. We have locked in max special bonus. All I have to do is fight Robotnik, and I do have enough lives. I have like 14 lives, and then I have like 4 or 5 continues, which are each 3 lives each. And you'll see how different the final boss is in this version. I mean, you could argue whether this is easier or harder than the Master System version. But, I don't know, because there's not that big electric wall going back and forth, it feels like it could be easier. I mean, I don't know, it looks less intimidating. Because all the hazards are relatively stationary. The electric ball really only comes and chases you if you are going after it at a point other than... Like, if you're standing all the way to the... As long as you're standing all the way to the left... As long as you're standing all the way to the left, the electric ball just flies straight off screen. So, I don't know if that's a concession they made to make it easier, or... Yeah, unless the electric ball launches while you're still running around, it will always, just go straight off screen. Here's the middle. Alright. What? Okay, I thought the game froze for a second. I was like, what happened? Alright. So we're going to... because we got all the Chaos Emeralds, we're going to get to see the... we're gonna go ahead and see the... you go ahead and see, because we got all the Chaos Emeralds. This does not happen in the Genesis version. This is unique to the 8-bit version of the game. Sonic throws the Chaos Emeralds into the air. And he uses them to cleanse the island of Robotnik's pollution. Now, given the themes of Sonic the Hedgehog, of, you know, animals versus robots, of forests versus factories, and conservationism versus industrialism, I think using the Chaos Emeralds to cleanse the island of the smog is, I think, thematically much better, in a more thematically appropriate ending that is not present in the Genesis version. Now, here we get our special bonus, which is the bonus that you earn for the Chaos Emeralds. It doesn't make that explicit, but... So, that's why when you're doing speedrun with 100%, this category is called Max Special Bonus. So, alright, we know the drill. We defeated Robotnik. So it is time, once again, to go to Olive Garden. Now, so we're gonna let the credits play out. I'm gonna give my thoughts on this version. Once again, for those who are unfamiliar with it, it's rather obscure, relatively obscure, and it's often thought of, and I really hate hearing people say that, like, it's easy to regard Sonic on Master System or the 8-bit version, both Master System and Game Gear, or the Game Gear version, which I'm playing here and which I have the back personal history with, is that it's easy to think of this just a watered-down port of the 16-bit version, the real version. But this is the game that taught me to love Sonic the Hedgehog. It's the game that taught me to love video games, and they could have just made a watered-down port of the Genesis version. Instead, they played to this hardware's strengths and made a unique version of Sonic that plays to the hardware strengths, and I really enjoy this I don't know if they did. The Master System version never came out on the Sega Mark III, which is the Japanese equivalent of the Master System. The Master System version was made purely for the benefit of Europe and South America. Basically, the Genesis version, or the Master System version, was only released in North America in limited quantities, and they actually took the European box and put a different UPC over it with a sticker. So this European version will play. This is the universal version of the game, pretty much. This will play on any Master System. On a PAL Master System, this will only play. It'll play slower, but there's no hardware lockout for this game or anything like that. Yeah. All right. So today, that does it for 2020. Thanks for if you've been here, whether lurking or present, in any stream that I've done this year. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for behaving yourselves for the most part. Let's see. Yeah, the day after tomorrow, which will be New Year's Day. So see you next year. Haha, got the joke in. So next year, on the 1st, on New Year's Day at 1 o'clock, I'll be starting my stream of Paper Mario. I'll give you a sneak peek here. I've got the layout already good to go here. And the camera is not quite set up. The camera's set up, my webcam's set up, and it's Sonic the Hedgehog because that's what I'm playing now. I gotta set up my Wii U. But if you look at the, oh no, that's the rest break. Where's the wheel? Here we go. I've already got the wheel set up for doing my wheel spins, because I'll be spinning this wheel. Actually, no, I have the wheel set up within Paper Mario itself now, don't I? Yeah, I do. Okay, so I just have it set up within the layout itself. But I'll be using this wheel here to spin whether I will be upgrading Mario's badge points, flower points, or hit points. And I feel like the game is pretty well balanced to the point where even if I end up getting bad luck and just only loading up on a bunch of one of the three, the game's pretty well balanced to the point where no matter what you load up on, the game is still beatable. Because it's really, the leveling up is really more a decision of how you want to play as opposed to making Mario more powerful. Because if, let's say, I don't get many hearts for the hit points, then I could equip, but I do get a lot of badges. I can equip badges that will give Mario more HP, so it's very balanced in a very unique way. This is, the wheel is from wheelofnames.com, and you can customize the wheel with names or with images. So I chose images here, the flower to represent flower points, the heart to represent the heart points, and the hammer to represent the badge points. So you can customize the wheel however you'd like. And I'm just using my browser source here to go to wheelofnames.com within the browser. So, the day after tomorrow at 1 p.m., you could, if you're around and have nothing better to do, feel free to join me for the beginning of Paper Mario. My first RPG on stream, not counting Pokemon, which, I don't know, Pokemon is so big that I kind of just sort of fall into it, the details of it. I will play it eventually at some... will play it down the line, but for the first playthrough of a proper RPG, something I've already played, because the next RPG I'm going to be playing after this is Final Fantasy Legend for Game Boy, which is the first of the Saga series, which I can play on Switch because they have the collection of Saga on Switch, which has the Game Boy Final Fantasy Legend games on it. Which I do have to make a Game Boy layout for that. But that's gonna do it for this stream. And thanks for joining me. Have a better. I'll see you next year. And thank you very much for watching.